Good morning, Dual Coast fans. Welcome back to another episode of Dual Coast Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Skoka, joined by my West Coast co-host, Russ Rogers, and we are joined by a very special guest this morning, Colleen Lindberg. Colleen, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, guys. It's going to be so fun.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So excited to have you, Colleen. Yeah. You know what people don't know is that this month of February is all about the women.
Yeah.
I love it.
Right here on Dual Coast.
Right here on DC.
Every one of our guests are women.
That's
and
correct.
So I'm excited because we get to launch with you. This is amazing.
I'm so excited. I think
you're kicking it off.
I'm kicking it off. Let's go.
Yeah. You know, I mean, all throughout last year, we had women, periodically, mixed in and everything. And it just really depends on who's available, when we can make this happen, But it seems like in the latter part of the year, we had a lot more than we did in the first half of 2025. And the start of this year, there's a lot of women that are going to be on dual coasts. And so we're thrilled that you're on the show today. And I have to say this, in your bio, I want to just read the last little clip about Colleen. Colleen isn't just a mentor. She is a frequency, a vision keeper. I love that. And I think if anybody was to get on the line with Colleen, frequency is something that really resonates with you. And it resonates with you probably more so than I can even imagine, right? So why don't you just take a moment and let's kick off our Dual Coast podcast today with that statement that I just read right there in your bio, and tell us what those little lines right there mean from you.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I think like over the years, so most of you guys have never heard a pathway of mine, but I've been an entrepreneur for 17 years. And one of the key elements of the whole pathway and journey for me always was my attitude and how I showed up in rooms. So now granted, I live in Costa Rica now. So back in the day, I used to wear high heels and bright lipstick, and they'd be bright, right? So like I could be in all black and all of a sudden there'll be this pop of like red color on my feet and people would be like, who is this chick? And they wouldn't know who I was when I'd walk in the door, but something would draw them to want to talk to me. And whether that was my heart energy or that was my big energy or that was the shoes, it was always the thing. And as I moved to Costa Rica, I actually brought 10 pairs of high heels here. And everyone was like, what do you mean you're bringing high heels to Costa Rica? And I was like, guys, you don't understand. This is who I am. Like, I need them here. Now they're rotting in the closet, like literally from like falling apart because of the humidity. And it's just so interesting, the whole path. But I think I've worn each pair once since I've lived here 3.5 years. And it's changed. So now the energy and what I hold is just, you'll feel it in my content. You'll see it through here. Like you'll just feel that there's like a vibe and you'll be like, I don't know about this chick, but she's like, there's something about her. And everyone has an energetic coding. So the more we lean into our authenticity, the more we fire that energetic coding, and we just are. Like one of the guys that I always go to the restaurant where he bartends, he says to me, you just walk in here all the time and it's like this positive wave just moves through you, even though I'm not even doing anything. Like it's just like all of a sudden, Colleen's here. And it's like I've really understood and honed in on that energy over the years. And it's almost like a superpower, let's just call it. But it's not. Yeah. It's just who I am. Like I don't have to turn it on or turn it off or do anything with it. I just have to be myself. And that's the frequency all of us get to hold. But most of us are trying to become other things instead of actually owning who we truly are. So
yeah. Well, some of the posts that I've seen, you're out in, in the wild, you're in rivers, I just, high heels just don't resonate with that frequency.
So. Well, I did a shoot once on the ocean, and I brought my high heels with me, and I literally put them on, and I kept sinking into the sand. And some of the best photos are me trying to stand in high heels, and I'm wearing a suit jacket with a bikini. And it's just like, because it was for like a multidimensional kind of energy work, right? Stuff like that. And it was like, I was laughing so hard at myself, trying to hold an identity of who I used to be in the new identity of who I truly am. It's if you look at it, you could see the dimensions of the photo, but I bring them to North America only. So when I go to North America, I pack one pair and that's it.
That's it.
We're done.
The one that's not the one that hasn't molded yet.
Yes, it's true. It's really funny. I have this pink pair of boots that I got one of my girlfriends. My mom sent it to one of my girlfriends in the US when we were meeting up last year, and I had her take them home because I was like, do not let me take these, because these are like these precious pink boots. And I was in New York earlier on in January, and she actually sent them to the hotel there so I could wear them at this event I was going to. It's like I stash my shoes across North America for when I need them. Like, a whole bunch of
that's
fun.
hilarious.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Colleen, out of sheer curiosity, what made you pick Costa Rica?
It came as an intuitive hit. So like, this is how I do my life. So it's almost like God talks to me, and I woke up one morning and it was like, you're going to Costa Rica. And I was like, okay, when am I leaving? Like literally, this is like the beginning parts of 2022. Wow. And by the fall of 2022, I was here with 3 duffel bags. I'd sold everything and moved to a country that I'd never even been to before. And I knew no one. And I didn't even come to visit first. I literally just got on a plane and was like, I'm going to figure it out. And I did. And that's how I kind of lead my life, like through the whispers and the intuitive hit side. And some of us, all of us hear it, but we don't action it, or we don't believe it, or we're thinking that it's something different. And I just keep listening. And that's how I got here. And that's why I'm still here, because it's like, it's still time for you to stay. I'm like, okay. So just wake up every day playing the game.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We know that, we know you're in Costa Rica. We know you don't wear shoes. But let's talk about the life in heels. Let's talk about a little bit about your past to get in your journey of where you are now. So tell us a little bit about, the heel life.
Yeah. So when I started entrepreneurship, I started as a very pragmatic business consulting coach. So I would walk into companies, help them with growth strategies, processing, hiring people, leadership development, culture management. And that served me for a good 10 years in the space of everything. So, imagine going to meetings, dressing up, there was a part probably around year 8 that I just started owning who I was, instead of like the nylons and all the other BS that you think you need to wear when you do like corporate work. And I started wearing like ripped jeans and t-shirts under like a dress jacket and brilliantly beautiful high heels. And it like literally triggered some of my girlfriends who were like, you can't wear that to your corporate meeting. And I was like, no, I actually can. And they're like, but they're going to judge you and all these things in the space of that. And I was like, yeah, until I open up my mouth. And then they're going to be like, this chick knows what's going on, right? In the space of that. And so I held a certain regard. Like I started making $10,000 months back in 2015 in the business. And it was like I rode that wave for a while. Things were easy. Like success came easily for me because I was always just in it, in the space of that. Clients were getting results. Things were happening. They would refer people. And it was very, though, pragmatic work. And even though I was really good at it, it always just kind of landed flat. I'd wake up in the morning and it wasn't like I was like, yay for the day. Like it was like, okay, we got to go to that client and move some stuff through and all the things. And then like a lot of people, when 2020 happened, it's like some of us started to reevaluate our life. And it was like God said to me one morning, it's time. And I was like, time for what? Like, it's time for you to actually start to do the work you're meant to do in the world. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm doing this stuff over here. Like, people are getting the things and I'm having success and, all the stuff that we keep saying to ourselves. And it's like, no, but it's time for the connected work. And so, like, as I listened and fought, spirit, let's just say, for a good, few months, I finally, near the end of 2020, was like, fine, I'll do it your way then, and a lot of the work I do now is soul purpose driven. So it's not just pragmatic stuff. It's like, how do we get you aligned in what you're actually meant to do in the world, and then fired behind that truth and power and take ownership of that and then lead life that way in the field. And I do a lot of the clearing energetic work to make sure people can align in that. And it's like, I fire them up. And it's like in 2022, when I moved to Costa Rica, I thought I was grounded. I thought I'm like, you need to go out in nature and be with nature. And, I thought I understood it. And it was almost like I got cracked wide open about what it's like to be a human in the world instead of doing the being of a human that I was doing technically in North America. Because if you guys think about it, we run meeting to meeting, we're doing stuff, we're checking the boxes, we're doing all the things, we're going to the gym, we're doing the workouts, we're eating the stuff we need to eat, we're meeting the family, and it's like this rolling thing. And not that there's anything bad, quote unquote, about that. But some of us lack so much connection to self that we forget that we're actually a human, and there's a connection that's happening here. And when I moved here, it was like, it almost like threw, like it like minimized energy, but it almost like came right at me in the face, like a 2x4. And it was like, holy man, I totally am disconnected to self, even though I thought I had all the tools and I thought I was doing all the things, and like, you know, and the recognition of that. And then I went, oh, I understand now. It was actually a really the coolest part of the journey was when I walked out of my house one day, and my neighbor, who is a Tika, so that's like the name of the people that are native to the land, Ticos and Tikas, they were born here. She had literally one of her chickens strung up on the fence and was just about to like behead and like chop the chicken off to go make it for dinner. And she lives right beside me, like, you know, so I walked out of my house and I'm just like, oh my God. And I like finally connected some of the dots to be like, yeah, you do not live in North America any longer.
Yeah.
Like, you are not there anymore. Like, you are in a completely different world. And they just teach you so much about being. One of my guy friends who moved here said to me one day, like, his workers on the property, he would talk to them and they would stop working every time that he would talk to him to communicate and to be present in that relationship. And then they would start working again when you were done talking. So he's like, I tried to not interrupt him so that he could keep working, but sometimes I just needed to ask him some questions. And it's like, if you think about that, like present moments of time, like how often are we actually really truly present with people in our world? It's like, I've learned so much about being, like when I say being a human, it's like what it actually means to be in this relationship together. So yeah. So there's the kind of journey, sort of.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Amazing. Colleen, a lot of your posts talk about major transformation shifts and shifts happening internally. What's a sign somebody's in the middle of that shift when they might not even realize it?
Yeah, well, we can take this in different dimensions, because it's like sometimes we're in the middle of transformation and we don't know, and all this stuff is going kind of wrong in our life. Like we're struggling, or there's a ton of chaos, or we're like under it. It's like we just can't seem to get this grip moving through. And that is actually what we call like an upgrade in the energetic field. It's like we're actually becoming or remembering who we truly are, but our natural human is resisting that work. So therefore we're creating this resistance in that transformation field. So that could be one of the key dynamics. If someone's just like brand new to this personal development conversation, I know you guys talk about it a lot. I've heard some of your past episodes in different kinds of ways, you know, of like choice and belief and moving through and all of some of the dynamics of that. It's like when we recognize that if we're in chaos or struggle or lack or doubt or any of these juicy emotions that run through what I call the 3D mechanism, like the earth plane, something's off, which means that we are either resisting our next moves, we're resisting the space that is actually being called into us, or we've outgrown that space, you know, like we're trying to stay with these relationships, or we're trying to stay in this job, or all the dynamics that we're pushing up against, trying to make something happen. You're being called into more alignment, more juicier things in your world, like actual deeper rooted connection. And that is one of the aspects of transformation that I'm finding like is happening right now, that people are kind of resisting that space, or we're on the wave is what I call it. It's like we're on the top and it's like things are going great and we're moving through this space. And then all of a sudden, like something transpires and we're coming up against our next level. And it's like, okay, it's time for the upgrade. It's time for us to shift habits. It's time for us to maneuver that forward. It's time for us to launch that new offer. It's time for us to, you know, I don't know, get a new podcast, like host episode, guest coming on that's going to amplify the version of us that we desire to kind of lean into. And so, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah. Okay.
Counter question to what you just
said. What else you got to say about that, Dan?
I got nothing left. Let's end it here. Do you feel like a lot of people resist that version of themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I really believe that we grew up in societies that teach us to stay within an infrastructure of a box. So if you think about the school system alone, you go to school, you have to get there at a certain time, you can leave at a certain time, you have to follow the rules, you have to do your homework, you have to be this kind of student, and then they're framing it for us to go out into the world and be really good employees, which is amazing for some people because that serves who they are as a human. Like they want to be an employee. Not everyone's going to be entrepreneurs. But if you think about this in the space of, that's the conditioning that we have in this box. Transformation is asking us to step up into our authentic self and lead through that frequency in the world, which doesn't fit in a box. So we are always pushing up against the edges of the box because none of us should be in them in the first place. So we are resisting it because our conditioning says you stay in the box. That's the programming, where our soul, our heart, our energy, like the actual truth of who we are, is saying we don't play in boxes. So, and it's not tangible. And that's the part that we can't fathom as humans, is like, we're always looking for, like, do the research and then you get the answers and then you take action. That's how we've been conditioned. Spirituality or energetics or actual soul connection says, just take action first and you'll get the answers later. And most of us can't fathom that in our brain to be able to be like, oh, I just don't understand how to make this move, or why am I shifting this? Or I don't know, I just have this gut feeling that I have to resign or say this to someone or leave this relationship, and I don't know why. And that's the trusting aspect of the space of the transformational piece. And most of us don't want to step in because we don't have the answers. We don't know why we're doing the work. None of the T's are crossed or I's are dotted. Like, why did Colleen move to Costa Rica? At the time, I had no idea why I was actually moving here. I could have given you all these other answers and you could have been like, oh my God, Costa Rica is such a vibe. It's like, you know, all the things that you see, you get to play with the iguanas every day and the monkeys hang on the trees and, like, you know, all that stuff. And it would be like superficial almost. Yeah, that happens. But the depthful work I had to do in order to step up into the version of me that I truly am couldn't have happened, or maybe it could have, anywhere else in that moment of time. And I needed to trust that I didn't have the answers. I really didn't. I had no idea why I was coming here. I just was like, I'm going to follow the cue. And so transformation requires some of this trusting, because we're called to let go. We don't know why certain things. We're called to launch in certain ways. It doesn't make sense to the patterns or conditioning we were taught in our business school etiquette, you know, and it's like, there's tons of resistance there. Tons. Yeah.
Sounds to me like Colleen should start in the education system a course that's called Outside the Box.
Yeah, and do you know how much energy it would take to get outside the box into the box? You know, like, I'm like, I don't know if I want to trailblaze there. I would rather go around igniting all the lights in the world around the box, and then all of us together can just dismantle the box. Take it out.
Yeah, you know, because you know, when I think about, like, you know, high school courses, college courses, you know, I don't remember, you know, a lot, but in terms of my elementary classes, right? But you know what? The one teachers that really come to mind while you were talking, and I was going back, who really resonated with me in all of my years.
Yeah.
And there are three that still stand out right now. When I go back to elementary, I go back to high school, and I go to college, they were all three men, but all of them spoke outside the box.
Right.
And some of those things that I recall really spoke on creativity. And one of them in college really gave some applicable things for us to take into life, right?
Yep.
It wasn't geometry. It wasn't English. It was, I mean, those are all important, but but this is life. And even in third grade, Mr. King, right?
Yep.
Creativity in the third grade. And so when I think about outside the box or being in the box, those are, you know, there are three that come to my mind that spoke outside the box in my early years and all the way through college, and how important that is in life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and Dan, I'm sure you probably can remember some too. Like in grade 2, I convinced my teacher to let me every afternoon go play in the kindergarten room. And then in grade 3, I told my grade 3 teacher that my grade 2 teacher let me. So he let me too. And then in grade 4, I like this pattern.
You're working
they stopped me in grade 5. But for like those 3 years, every afternoon I'd go down to the kindergarten room and I'd hang out in the kindergarten room all afternoon. And they just, like, I was one of those students in school that would be like, I naturally excelled in school because I just feel like I could just tap into the energy and channel it all now looking back. But it was like I never had to do the work. So I could just be here in the space of school, and whatever you need me to do, I'll get it done. And then I don't want to play in this realm for the next 5 hours. I want to go downstairs and play with the kids. And I don't know how this even got flew in the space of that. But one teacher, my grade 2 teacher, and even still to this day, if I were to see her, we just had this relationship, and she was like a catalyst in this rebellion that I kind of was and still totally am in the space of stuff. And I'm like, oh man, I should send her a letter actually thanking her for igniting my rebellion, in the energy, that not even recognizing it until this moment of time. And I'm just like, oh my God, yeah. So it's yeah, super cool.
Was she wearing pink boots?
Yeah.
No, but she did give me, so this is even funnier. She gave me an old pair of her high heels that were purple velvet, and then with a matching purse. And I would walk around school with these massive shoes clicking in the hallways because my feet were obviously not big enough to wear them. And yeah, they were chiclet.
Awesome.
They were chiclet high heels. They actually had the Chiclets logo in the shoe. Yeah, I know. Inspiration.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so true though, because a lot of teachers don't teach the rebellion. They try to teach you the mold, and they keep you inside the mold. And that's pretty much just where you go, and you stay inside the mold and stay inside the mold. Exactly. I had one teacher that you guys are speaking on this in actually college. Nobody I can recall in high school or elementary school, maybe a little bit, but one in college, stats teacher. And he's like, first day, he's like, half of this class, I'm going to teach you how to do statistics. And I was like, yeah, great. He goes, in half of this class, I'm going to teach you how to succeed in life.
Nice.
This is and I'm 18 or 19 at the time, probably 19. And that caught my attention right away. And I was like, succeed in life. I was like, no teacher's ever really said that to me. How do I succeed in life?
Yeah.
Started teaching us real estate, taxes, everything like that, outside the realm stuff, entrepreneurship, how to buy homes. And I was like, okay, this is intriguing now, because this guy's a teacher and he's teaching you how to actually excel somewhere. Stats, great to know, good skill, I guess, maybe for people. For
real? Have you ever used it? Let's just be
whatsoever. And he taught you everything. He really did. And I tried to carry some of it with me, but it's it's not always easy. But he really he went above and beyond to show you how to do things. Yeah. And a lot of teachers, they stay inside the mold, they keep you inside the box, and they teach inside the box. It's interesting though. Some of them do put it out there.
Yeah, and I feel though this day and age, so many of them are so wound, they're handcuffed to the system. Sure. Because the second they start to speak out of the curriculum, they're getting flagged, and it's actually really sad to watch what's transpired in some of the school systems right now, where they're holding teachers in this bind. And some of them are not willing to be rebels, like some of us, in the field of actually sticking up for the whole mechanism of it, because job security and all the things. And they're like, I got kids at home. I need this job, and all of that energy, especially with what's going on in the world now with inflation and all the stuff. It's just it's challenging, and I honor them. If any of the teachers are listening to us right now, I honor you, and I get it's probably not easy. So,
yeah. So you live on a high frequency level, and you deal with that with people in their life. Mm-hmm. But what really, being out there in Costa Rica, what keeps you grounded?
Yeah, my dog, for sure. She requires me to be grounded. So 3 to 5 walks a day is her requirement. And I get to watch her. It's I'll leave the door open for a while. Right now there's some kind of dead animal kind of close by, and she wants to go play with it, and the vultures are around, and I'm just I got to monitor a little bit more in the space of this. But I'm we do not need any dead animals or any dogs eating dead animals. I don't know what it is, but I was talking to the vultures yesterday. I'm just take it out of here. Take your animal and move it somewhere. Okay. We don't need this here. But she'll go out, and just all of a sudden I'll just catch her laying in the sunshine, and she'll lay there for 30 minutes. And I just really I get so inspired by animals, because it's they teach us how to be. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to lay in the sun. I'm going to eat. We're going to go for a walk. We're going to play for a while. We're going to have some fun. I take her to the beach every day. So we go walk the beach, and I throw sticks, and the way she swims in the ocean is the most amazing thing. She'll this small little wave will come, and she'll jump over the wave, and she's tiny. She's maybe 2 feet high. She's not big, like a big dog at all. And it's just so cool to witness. And so Grounding for me means being present in your life. So I don't take my phone when we go on walks. I don't take my phone to the beach. Like, I am just rooted in the space of that moment with her, paying attention, watching the trees. Like, you obviously too, I live on a mountain that doesn't really have paved roads. Okay. So that's like not really a thing here. So you have to pay attention to where you're walking, because nothing is smooth and it's all rock formation in some way, shape, or form. So crushed rock on the roads, like that's just how it works in the space of everything, especially because all the rain we get, it helps with all the moisture. But it's like, you have to be present in your life to live here, or you are in some challenges and you will come up against some stuff. Like, one of my girlfriends was coming down for a while, and she was going to watch the dog while I went to North America. And I said to her, look, I need you to really understand, because she's not grounded a lot. And I said, you cannot touch your phone if you're driving in this country, because animals come out of nowhere. There's like, none of the streets are straight. Everyone's doing stuff. The driving here is insane. Like, people just like there's no like turning lanes, and there's no like, you shouldn't pass here. It's like they're passing and they have a blind spot coming around the mountaintop. Like, they don't care. So they like, and it's like, you can't, like, you come into some stuff if you're not present in your body living here. So it's like, that's the moments of like, how can I just make sure that I be in the world when I'm being in the world? So, yeah.
Well, I have been to Costa Rica twice. I have witnessed the roads both times. And exactly what you said, passing cars on a curb.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, what are we doing here? You know?
Yeah.
And I have seen the roads, because we went way out in the sticks. I have no idea where. We went to this one house that was on top of a hill. Could have been your house before you moved there. But we went up there, we had dinner and everything. But what we did, and it was a long hike. Yeah. What we didn't realize, as Americans, is that we had to walk. This is before cell phone. We had to walk back down the hill. Well, it's dark now. Yeah. Well, you can imagine that. That was treacherous. Yeah. On unpaved roads.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you guys one thing. So I'm part of like a coaching group, and one of our mentor challenges us all the time to do crazy stuff, And so 1 month back in 2024, we had this, it was named after a guy called the Nate Solomon's Challenge. And what it was you started walking at dusk till dawn. So for 12 hours, you walked in the middle of the night, no phones, no music, nothing, just you and your thoughts. And so because I'm a rebel, and because I like to challenge myself this way, I decided to do that. Now, I live in Costa Rica. At the time I was living in a town, it was a little bit more rooted, but theft is a big thing here. Okay. Like it really is. That's like a truth in the space of it all. People know this country for that. It's like, you don't leave your stuff on the beach and everything. And I say this with respect, a white girl in the middle of Costa Rica in a really rooted Tico town, it's not usually safe. When I told my Spanish teacher after the fact that I did this, he's like, what? But what I did was I carried my machete on my back. So I had a weapon in case I knew something was going to happen. But also too, it's pitch black. Like, so I had my headlamp, but there's no street lights. Like, it's like, and the jungle comes alive at night, right? So it's like, I understand that mechanism. I made it the whole night. It was like 4:30, the sun started coming up, and by 5:30, it actually came up over the mountain and I could close out the night. There was only one time, I guess twice, that I met a really like hammered guy, and he's like, let me walk you home. And I was like, no, like, you keep walking that way. And I was fine like that. But I saw a car slow down and then back up. And then I kind of turned a bit so he could see that I was wearing my machete. And then they just took off after that. So it was like, so I didn't have any challenges that way, but I get that space of like being in the dark here in Costa Rica. And like, yeah. Some of my girlfriends were like, I want to do that again. I was like, I never want to do this ever again. Okay, like, let's just put that out in the field. I got a check mark for this. We're done. Like, yeah, it was a bit intense.
Do you carry your machete when you walk around in Long Island?
Yeah, all the time. Back pocket.
Do you even own a machete? Like, let's actually ask. That's the real question.
I know.
I own a machete. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Squirrels out here, Russ, they get violent.
Yeah. A steak knife. That's about what you have.
Exactly. The raccoons and the squirrels, they get violent at night here. You got to be careful.
Let's just be real. I've never owned a machete before this country. Okay, just want to make sure I say that out loud.
That's so funny. Colleen, a lot of your content and what you speak about, it has a big theme of expansion. What would you say is the scariest part of growth for most people? And how do you coach someone through the moment when they want to quit?
Yeah, so this happens often. It's like we come up to what I call the edge. You know, we're on the edge of the cliff and we can see the life we're meant to live over there, right? You can see the impact, the house, the people you're meant to inspire, like it's like over there. And we've got to take the step in order to get off the edge to get to the house. Like that's kind of the mechanism of this. We have to jump in the space of that. And I think the biggest fear is leaving parts of our life that we deem safe to actually move into expansion, because expansion requires us to make bold moves, to invest in ourselves, whether that's in different programs, mentorship, in different audios, and different spaces. And a lot of us are super regimented in our systems over here that even investing in themselves is like a big thing for them because they don't want to let go of the money, or they don't have enough time to do it, or all the things. Like even working out, you guys think about it, a lot of people in the space of I don't have time to get to the gym. And it's like that's an excuse that we use a lot as humans. And so it's like the courageous action is one of the key aspects to this whole thing, because a lot of it comes down to trust, because we don't have all the answers. We don't know exactly how we're going to move it through. We're worried about what our parents are going to think, or our friends are going to think, or all that. Like, I can't post that online. Like, what if my girlfriend from grade 2 has something to say about it? And then in my mind, I'm like, who the F cares? You know, like, this is your mission. Like, this is what you're meant to do in the world. And you're worried about this friend who probably isn't going to be your friend any longer in the space of your actual movement and growth forward, because they can't meet your energy. They aren't in the same value system, have never been. But at a certain time in your life, it worked in the space of that awareness, especially in grade 2. Like, you know, our values were, let's just play. And now it's like, I want to play and I want to impact the world. And so a lot of this is, and it comes down to choice. And it's just like, you need to either choose. Are you going to stay in the mediocrity that's playing out right now in this, like, we think it's safe, but it's never safe, because the only thing safe in life is safe people, right? So like, environments can shift, natural disasters happen, all these things are transpiring in the world that we're witnessing right now. And it's like, the only safety is here. It's right here. And it's like, how do I show up in this space, in this movement forward? And it's like, when I'm guiding people through this, and yeah, sure, I've got some tough love energy inside of me to be like, dude, I don't, like, you can stay in your excuses. You can go get the job. You can go do the things. You can stay. You can. That is your option. But in a year's time from now, that flame in your heart is still ignited, and you're still going to keep hearing the whispers, and you're going to be a year now away from the actual impact you're meant to make in the world if you would just, right now in this moment, just have courage to step forward. And it's like almost like speaking that into them, to be like, guys, we all have options. We all have free will. We all get to choose how we show up in the world. We do. We actually can choose today to go to the place or not go to the place, to make the post, to not make the post, to put the offer out, to not put the offer out. We choose that every single day. And so every day you get to choose. Am I staying in this smallness, in this mediocrity, or what I call the kiddie pool? Or am I actually going to live the life I'm meant to live, in the impact I'm meant to make over here, making bolder moves, having courage, speaking truth, moving through my power, and changing the lives of the humans that you're meant to connect with? And it's like, when you weigh that out, it's kind of like, oh, you know, I'm not swearing on purpose. If you guys follow me enough, like, you'll see I swear in everything else I do. But I'm like, I'm kind of tight-lipped today. But normally I would add in a couple of aspects into there to just kind of emphasize my point. Okay. Okay.
Makes it powerful.
Wasn't sure. I forgot to ask before we hit record, because sometimes I'm like, but it's like, you get to choose that. And that's the truth of it. It's like, you can stay in this system, keep fucking cycling all the day long that you want to keep fucking cycling. But you get that choice. And every day you got to keep making it for yourself until it becomes the new habit.
Yeah.
That's so true. I just something you just said though, people are so scared about the posting. I just want to bring that up real quick. Because people are so scared to post, and they're going to be judged and everything like that. And like, you listen to like Alex Hermosi and people of that, you know, entrepreneurs, and they're just like, just put it out there. Who cares what the hell anybody thinks? Like Gary Vee, he's like, people are going to judge you no matter what. He's like, just post. He's like, it doesn't matter what they say, what they think. Who cares? You have to embarrass yourself a little bit to try to excel somewhere. You know, you have to put yourself out there a bit. And like Hermosi says that stuff all the time. You got to be willing to just put yourself out there and see what happens. And it's so true, because people are so scared of what everybody else thinks. Like I'm gonna make this post and people are gonna make, judge me and people are gonna make comments, this and that. Who the hell cares?
Yeah.
That's kind of like the mentality you kind of have to have.
Oh, huge.
Well, Wexler talks about that. He talks about FOPO, right? Fear of people's opinions.
Fear of people's opinions.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's so true, because I think that's one of the number one things that kind of restrict people from doing the thing they want to do, because everybody's like, oh, people are going to think I'm crazy if I do this, if I make this move, or I make this jump to another position, or I want to start this business, or I want to start a podcast. You're gonna take some flack. It's gonna happen. But it's inevitable, and that's the only way you're going to excel, in my opinion, is just giving it a shot. If you fail, you fail. You could always say you tried, as opposed to saying, I never tried. I never know. Who knows what could have happened?
Yeah.
It's interesting. And my mom is most likely going to watch this episode. So Mom, I have a lot of respect for you, but I need to tell the story. So I did a photo shoot when I moved to Costa Rica in a waterfall, and I was wearing a white dress, and I was coming out of the waterfall, and the dress obviously becomes see-through. So you can see my nipples in the photos. And so one day she calls me and she's like, what is up with these nipple photos? And I'm like, Mom, this has nothing to do with sex, okay? Like, it's not a sexual branding. It's about a woman owning her power and stepping up into the space. And it was one of the most connected photo shoots that I'd ever done, like just in general, for the essence of who I am in a human on this earth plane, but also as a woman. And I said to her, if you have a problem with these photos, you can unfriend me on Facebook. So this is what I said to her. And then she heard me, and I'm sure she'll have another story about this, but Mom, you heard me. And then we never talked about it again, because it was like, this is the lane I need to be in. Yeah. And if you can't accept the lane, I am not changing the lane because you're uncomfortable. So like, you need to either disconnect from the lane and go and do your own thing, or just swallow the pill every time you see me doing whatever I'm doing, and just honor that that's who your daughter is, and that she's self-expressed and she's making moves in the world and inspiring other women to own their power in the space of who they truly are. So, yeah.
And we love you, Mom.
Yeah. You do. She said to me the other day in December when I went back home, she's like, oh, do you just write your emails yourself? I was like, you're on my email list? And I was like, oh shit. How long have you been on my email list for? And I'm like, have I ever talked about her on my email list? Now I'm just like, whatever, the truth is the truth, right? And we all have our stories, right? We all have our stuff that we're moving through. So it's just so interesting.
That's so funny. So true. You help women daily, right? And one of the things you say is to help, wake the F up, right? Yeah. Where do you find, like, most of these women, where are they stuck in life? And obviously, we've got a lot of male listeners, and they may find themselves stuck in the same way, but I'm going to address it because you deal with, work with a lot of women.
Yeah. Well, us as humans, and just like we've kind of talked about, we're stuck in the box of conditioning, thinking that we can't do certain things, like even businesses. So some of us have been coached by very pragmatic business coaches that say the only way to success is like this, and you have to do it this way. When that's not the truth, that every single one of us has a unique blueprint that we're meant to bring to the world. And my success might be in memberships, and yours is in one-to-one work, or massive shiftings of all those pieces and offers. Like, I have some of the people in my world are like, I can't even imagine, because I have offers all the time that are going out. Like, I have got 4 to 10 offers at once sometimes playing out in the world. And I love that shit. Like, if I had one offer only, I would be like so bored, and I'd be like, it just wouldn't satisfy me in the space of that. But we're so used to looking through the lens of other people and managing our life through the lens of what others think we should do, that when we come to this edge in the space of that's asking us to actually be ourselves and to authentically lead in our own power, it's like, that's where the spaces come into play. It's like there's this moment of time where we know we're meant for more, where we're done and tired of the way things are aligning in our life, where we know we need to change something. And it's like, that's where the courageous place comes into play, where it's actually, it's almost like I see it like we're in this black and white version of our life, and then the color's right here, and we're right at the edge of moving through, and we've got to step the line over, which means we've also got to release everything that's going on behind us. Most of it doesn't come forward. Your relationships shift as you do more growth work, your business structures change, the team flips over, how you show up in your health changes, new supplements, new regimes, all that frequency shifts for us into the highest vibration. And most of the stuff behind us in the black and white can't come through unless it's coming through with us and changing and moving with our identity, and it grows and shifts with us. But a lot of the time, it's like who we were back then cannot come forward to who we are today. It's like I say this often, like the $10,000 a month version of me isn't the version of me that's going to land $100,000 a month. She can't. She doesn't have capacity. She doesn't know how to make that work, where it's a different identity that moves through. The true identity of who I am moves through. So beautiful. I think I answered that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, okay, good.
You did. No, I love it because, we've been taught, as you said, in this box, but we also keep ourselves in the box when we have so much more, to unleash, right? Yeah. And I look back at, what I was doing for 20 years in coaching, and I was a trainer for baseball and softball athletes, and I was fine with the way that I was going with life. This is what I thought I was going to be doing, that and landscaping. Things were fine, right? COVID hits, life switches. Yeah. And all of a sudden the trigger went on, and then boom, but it's continual. It's continual, right? Yeah. And there's so much more out there than people think and what they have within them. Yeah.
It's so true. And if you think, like it's like the light turns on. So, yes. Right. So when the light turns on, now you can't turn it off. So now all of a sudden you're seeing all these possibilities and you're meeting these cool people that are expanding you now more. But it took you that moment of time to step out of the darkness and into the light and to turn the light on. And that took courage. That took you releasing versions of you. That took you changing something. That took you picking up the book. That took you making the call or investing in the program that brought in a whole new layer of awareness. And now it's like you can't turn it off. Like you just can't. Like I don't know if I will ever not be able to like connect with a butterfly in my yard ever again. Like I can pick them up on my hand and they'll come and land on me, or like hummingbirds and like dragonflies. Like that's a connection point. And I don't know if I ever want to not be a human that has that kind of energy, no matter where I lived. Even if I lived in New York City, like completely different mode than Costa Rica. That was a really good vibe to be in Manhattan for 3 days. I was like, whoa, where am I? I was like, shit, yeah, right? So like Long Island, even to New York. So imagine Costa Rica to New York. It was like, woo. But it's like, I don't ever want to lose that awareness, because you can get sucked in to the mechanisms all the time if you choose to be. Or you can keep moving through into that light and keep growing and connecting and doing cool shit in the world.
Yeah. I feel like people restrict themselves a lot too, like we were just saying, because they don't take that first step of courage kind of thing. They know they're destined for more. They know they could do greater things, but they're not an execution person. They always say, hey, I could do this, I could do that, but you don't take that first step. And like you actually mentioned earlier in the podcast, and I say this all the time, and Russ probably smirked at it. You said, put yourself in rooms. Mm-hmm.
I knew it was coming.
I have to bring it up.
Yes.
But I always say, and I say this to Russ all the time, like you just put yourself in the room and see what happens. That's kind of like the first step. And like, that's me. Honestly, we bring this up all the time, but that's how me and Russ met. I put myself in a room. He put himself in a room and, just expose himself to what was going on. It was a meeting in New York City, in Manhattan, like you just said. You don't want to be there, but we were there.
I love New York. Just putting that out there.
But it's just true, because nobody takes that first step, and everybody sits there and they say, man, I could do great things. I could do this, I could do that. But they don't put themselves out there. There's a courage aspect and a bravery aspect that has to come with it. You have to not care what people think. You got to be willing to expose yourself a little bit, be a little bit vulnerable. Yeah. I think, and people are scared. And I was scared for a long time too. I fit the perfect mold of going to school, going to college, getting a job, going to work every day, doing my thing. And then like to step out of that zone and try something else is hard. And I think a lot of people don't take that step because it is hard and it is scary. They don't want to fail. I think that's true.
You see, I think Dan unintentionally did something, because the room that we were in, it wasn't a large room, but it did have an elevator up to the space, right? He unintentionally put himself 5 feet outside of the elevator exit.
Right. Yeah.
So you were forced to meet this guy. You had to meet him because you had to go left or right. you know, to get around him.
Right.
He knew what he was doing. Yeah, he knew what he was doing.
Dan Skoka, nice to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would have been in bright pink heels, so I knew what I was doing too inside of that room. Yeah. And just smiling at people. It's almost like when you like own the room energetically, and it's not even your room, but you just show up in that light. Like I'm a lighthouse. All of us are lighthouses. Every single one of us in the world technically is a lighthouse. And if we actually see it that way and we transition ourselves to believe that, it's like everywhere you go, you're imprinting. Everywhere you go, the coffee shop, the grocery store, the car, I call it the light wagon. You know, it's like, how am I like, I drive down the streets here and I say hi to everybody, or hola, every single person that I'm like, hola, ¿cómo estás? You know, buenos dias. Like, it's just like, and I'm learning Spanish, so let's just put that out there. But it's like, what if the world was like that? You know, what if we just showed up that way every single day? And it's like, we do it in rooms, we connect in rooms, we invest in ourselves to go to the rooms. We don't know who's there. It's scary to get on the plane and do the things. Like, it takes me a long time to get to North America. I don't know why, but it's like a lot. It's a day of travel. Like, it took me, I left my house at 7 a.m. on that Friday morning to get to New York. I landed in my hotel at midnight. Okay. Like, it's a big feat because I'm 3.5 hours from the airport. And then all the times you have to stay in the airport. And then a lot of places don't have direct flights. And it's like, we've got to connect in. So when I leave the country, I'm investing not just money to go, but in time and understanding. I went to New York for a mastermind. It's like, did I have to be in New York on that Saturday for a mastermind? No, I didn't. But guess what? The millionaire version of me invests in rooms like this. She shows up that way. The identity of who I am in the world is like, that's what she does. So that's who I am. Yeah. That's how I show up. But most of us are showing up in the old identities and staying small in that space. So I love that.
Yeah.
Staying small.
Yep. Like, you know, there's you hear it in basketball, and it's an analogy of, you know, it seems like the lid is on the hoop, right? Meaning the team are throwing up all of these shots and the ball is not finding the net.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're missing. We need to take the lid off. Right. So there's so many things that you could say today that will resonate and has resonated with people already. But tell the listeners today, and for those that are going to hear it down the road, what is it in life right now that could resonate with men and women collectively that would help them to take the lid off and start making the shots? What would you say to that today?
Yeah, such a great question. Everything is inside of you already. So you came to this earth plane with all the coding in you to do what you're meant to do on earth. And if you've got a dream in you, like you keep seeing a vision of a business, of a movement, of something moving into the world, it's already yours and ignited in you. You just now need to action behind it. So there's nothing outside of you that needs to connect in. Some of us are like, I need to get more certifications, or I need to have the right partnership, or I need to have this. And we're looking outwardly all the time. It's like, it's already here. So if that is actually true, then all you have to do is step behind it for it to come to life. And every single one of us has this key. Every single one of us. It's just a matter of us choosing to step up into that. And it doesn't mean it's always going to be easy, because we're going to come up against all the stuff, all the haters, all the moms out there asking about nipples, you know, all the things in the space of that, people doubting you're going to make it, everything, you know, all of it, people questioning you. I have one of my clients all the time. She's like, well, my friend said, I'm like, you need to stop asking the people in your life that don't have what you want their opinions, because they're only going to give you the opinion from the perspective they hold, which isn't the perspective you want. So why are we going to these people for advice when we should be going to the people that have what we want for advice? Because they know the path. They've gone through the pathway. But it's like, if it's in you, it's for you. So that dream in you, that vision that you keep seeing, that business that you desire to move through isn't someone else's, it's yours. So if that is true, then everything is inside of you. Yeah, maybe you need to get some tools like some CRM, or learn a couple things about how to do stuff, or learn how to make reels on Instagram in the space of everything. But it's like, yeah, those are the assets that you're going to have to acquire in order to make this move. But the essence is already in you. Now it's just time to start trusting it and stepping behind it.
So good.
Oh, that's great. Colleen, we'll probably close out with this one, but we have a statement on the podcast, or a quote that we kind of close every show out with. And that statement is, wellness is not about perfection, it's about progress.
Hmm.
What would you say that statement means to you?
Yeah, so I went to this retreat back in 2017, and the guy leading the retreat said, it's not about 100% change. It's about every single day, 1% movements forward. And now, I'm kind of like a gutsy girl. Like, I'd rather bet it all in. I'd rather go like 25% change in a day. But if you think about normal humanity, like 1% is a lot. So if you're making moves every day in that 1% of making shifts in your life, then you're on top of the shift. Because over time, I read this book once called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And it's like the dissonance between what we want and where we are in life, it wasn't created just one time. It was created by these small habits that we take every single day, right? So it's like, we want this, but our habits are taking us this way. And every time we embark on that habit every day, we keep veering off. So it's like, if we can stay true in that 1% movement every single day of change and aspects of our life, over time, we're going to be way farther along than we think. So it's like sometimes that chewing off and taking a bite off, like I can handle a lot of change. And yeah, sometimes I fall off the wagon. Okay. Like, let's just be real. I'm a human. But it's like, if I just stayed consistent every day to the things I'm committed into that are taking me to where I need to go, it's like, it's game over. So.
Love that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like yesterday I had a truck issue, right? My old work truck. And I knew going in from Sunday to Monday, I'm like, I'm going to have to commit 4 to 5 hours on my Monday. Not that I want to, I have to, you know what I mean? And it's like, I could be doing so many more things that are productive, but that is going to be production because we need the truck.
Yeah.
Just hate to work on that thing. But anyway, it's all good. Colleen, amazing today.
Yeah.
You really shed light on a lot of things. And I love the word frequency. I love that you have the download. I love your creativity. I love the depth of you. There's a lot of depth. And I really hope that those that were listening today live, for those that are going to listen to it in the future, that this brings a lot of meaning to people that are in and stuck in that box.
Yeah.
It's in you. It's in you. Listen to what she said.
Yeah.
This is a great replay. It's a great re-listen. Because many nuggets that were shared today, and I so appreciate you. We haven't known each other long, but I know you've added a lot of value in my life.
Oh, thank you, Russell. You too, just your energy in general. So I look forward, like I said to you before, like just seeing where our relationship takes us. It's going to be amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I'm not going to be in a white t-shirt and a waterfall, though.
I'm on the hunt for a men's dress shirt right now. Okay. So I actually have a photo shoot today, this afternoon, and I'm trying and men's dress shirts are like few and far between. Okay. Like I'm trying to import one in the next 5 hours to get to here. In the face of that, because I'm like, what can we do with a white men's dress shirt in the ocean? We will soon find out.
Yeah. Mom, beware.
She's fine now.
Colleen, where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm all over Facebook too if they just search my name, but I love to play on Instagram. It's like what I call my playground. So come and visit me there. If you were listening to this and something hit, I always say to everyone, just send me a DM. I want to know what landed for you, in the space of that, because it's like when we keep speaking it out into the world, then it keeps shifting and changing for us. And yeah, I'm really active on Instagram. So come and find me there.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Colleen Lindberg, thank you so much for being on today. This was an amazing episode. Powerful. Like Russ said, ton of nuggets. Great re-listen. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. We'll see everybody next week. Colleen, thank you again.
Thank you, Colleen. Appreciate it.